Alex Fowler. Wow.
Love.
Yeah. Like, just continue. I hope to see her just continue riding that wave of confidence and developing her game. But yeah, again, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's under the guidance and the tutelage of Coach Shannon Seaborn.
Okay, welcome to Shooting the Breeze, and we are live tonight and talking about the WNBL's upcoming Townsville Tip-Off, as well as covering off a few other things that are going on in the world of women's hoops, and we'll also be talking about the upcoming WNBL season. And tonight I'm joined by two co-hosts. Firstly, returning to the pod is Kerry Waller from Adelaide, host of the Courtside Coffee podcast, and we're also being joined by M. Palmer for the first time, who was recently assistant coach for the Sutherland Sharks NBL 1. Just before we get into it, I also want to say hello to everyone who's listening to the live pod. It's great to have you with us. Let's start off first. Em, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, I got to ask, Sutherland Sharks, assistant coach for the NBL 1. How was that this season?
It was such a different experience, like being with professionals like now Maddie Norris, Lauren Nicholson, Vanessa Panousis, like being around such veteran professional players was such an eye-opener because I moved from Bathurst, where I loved my 16 boys, but a bit different to professionals. So just learning from them, and then just all the other girls, like Emily Garland is just such a solid player, and seeing how they read the game at such a high level compared to just junior reps.
Cool. So I'm going to just sort of jump around a little bit. Obviously, Loz Nicholson came back.
Yes.
We actually got to see that game at Comet Stadium. Who would have thought?
She's unreal. She's just insane.
She just delivered an outstanding performance, and then, what was it, a week or 2 weeks later, she just went and just shot the lights out.
Yeah, just another 50-point game, just, after having a child.
Yeah.
Just what you do. It's like, what else do you do?
Oh, absolutely. And Kerry, how's the podcast been going?
Hi, yeah, good. Yeah, really, really good. It's a bit of a lonely process, I guess, and it was really quiet online, and then all of a sudden people actually start like going, oh yeah, you're from the Courtside Coffee Catch Up, or we really love what you've been doing, and that sort of just started happening like in the last couple of months, so I'm super grateful for everyone that's supporting it.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because we know it as well. You kind of there, you're putting out the episodes, and is anyone listening? And then
it gets a bit like that.
Yeah, but then people come up and they see you, and like sometimes, particularly if I'm wearing something that's got the STB branding on it, people come up and go, "Oh, yeah, are you involved with STB? Oh, yeah, you guys do really good stuff. We're really enjoying listening." And you never say it, but you think, well, maybe drop a comment or a like or something.
I know. I've been wondering, how do I tackle that, like in a without looking desperate kind of way.
Yeah, I know.
But a bit of a highlight. I'll just touch on quickly. Was not last weekend, just got on the weekend before. I got to host some interviews at the Eastern Mavericks 30th Gala.
Yep.
And we're lucky enough that juniors Kayla George and Tess Madgen came back and were two of the special guests that I got to interview live. And it was actually at that event that I got a lot of feedback that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, it was really heartening, and that was a massive highlight for me to be trusted to do those interviews, obviously off the back of what I've been doing with the pod. So yeah, really, really special, and a bit of a full circle moment back to one of my old clubs as well.
Awesome. Okay, so look, let's get into it. Like I said, before we get into the Townsville Tip-Off and looking at the WNBL, there's been a lot happening. Now, today, surprisingly, has been, a huge day for Australian basketball and people who are around Australian basketball. Let's start off with Sandy Brondello. Did not have her contract renewed by the New York Liberty. Not surprisingly, social media kind of blew up about that one. So I'm kind of curious just to get your quick comments on that one.
I thought it was interesting that last year when they renewed her contract after winning the championship, the first ever championship for an original franchise, they only renewed her for 1 year. So they left the option open for this second year, have declined the option. Interesting how she had a star-studded roster this year. Was the expectations championship or bust? And they fell short, which was unfortunate to a great Phoenix Mercury team, as we are now seeing with star Sammy Whitcomb. But they left that option open, not locking her in for the 2 years, and have just changed directions.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, there was a comment that was... I think it's gotten out on the social media as well, where Becky Hammond has not been, I don't think she's been too backwards in coming forward to say that she wasn't thrilled by what's happened, saying that, and this is a quote from her, that Cheryl Reeve in Minnesota is like the model. When you've got a good coach, you keep the good coach, but you don't necessarily win every year. And I can't necessarily disagree with that.
No, I think it's interesting with the 2 new franchises coming to, with the first ever international team in Toronto.
Yeah.
Does she want to explore an international team as an international coach? Maybe she's trying to set up a franchise.
Maybe, yeah. Because also, if I remember the WNBA rules correctly, the new franchises get to kind of cherry pick players from the other teams. And that's kind of an interesting opportunity for someone like Sandy.
It'll be good because she attracts veteran players. We've seen it, Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones. Like, will the veteran players want to come play for her? Or if she can cherry pick with the new CBA coming out, what are the rules going to be? Will the players be on strike, or can she pick who she wants?
Yeah, that's for a whole nother podcast. And Kerry, you got anything you want to throw in on that one?
Yeah, I think I just said to you before we hopped on, I just thought it was interesting the way that the guy in the press conference asked the question the day before. So he was obviously onto it, like he'd either heard something or he was onto the same track as you, Em, that he'd obviously noticed that they'd only signed her for the 1 year. And we obviously saw the reaction from Stewie. So, yeah, I just think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be a bit of a slap in the face, but so much opportunity for someone like Sandy.
Oh, sure.
And, yeah.
Also in the WNBA, the Phoenix-Minnesota game today, Mercury coming back from 20 points down. I believe that is the biggest gap that anybody's come back from in a finals game. And Sammy Whitcomb steps up, 3.4 seconds left, drops 3, sends it into OT, and thank you very much. I think that one shot changed the momentum for the entire rest of the game.
Yeah, I didn't see it as we were joking about before, some of us have to work, it's kind of unfortunate. We have to get paid to actually do our day job, but so it's quite rude. But just Sammy Whitcomb doing Sammy Whitcomb things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just think she proves time and time again what an asset she is wherever she goes. Like in that last play to send it into overtime, she missed the original shot, but her team just looked for her again. They knew if anyone's getting it, it's Sammy Whitcomb, and we're going to back her. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, it was. I mean, watching the footage of that, it's just like amazing. You just know you only get that sort of performance from experience. So, WNBL. Finally, we've got to the WNBL. WNBL is getting into its preseason. The Townsville Tip-Off. 8 games over 3 days starting this Friday up in Townsville. And we get to see the teams, take to the court for the first time in this new WNBL. A lot of changes in the club, the rosters. And also it's developing into more than just games, because you've also got She Hoops who are hosting clinics in Queensland. I think the first one started today, and they're going to go through till Saturday with Lauren Jackson and Tess Madgen. And I'm really pleased to see that also Ali Wilson is going to be leading the Indigenous Leadership Program. So it's a lot more than on-court action happening in Townsville. And I think it's a great opportunity for Ali as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. They there was a little bit on social media today, like you said, with the first She Hoops. I think Sam Groves joined Tess and Lauren at that first one in Ayr this morning. Then they were out at Charters Waters this afternoon, and they're going to be in Ingham tomorrow morning. So as always, the She Hoops ladies, they do not rest. They go so hard, and they just put in so much. And there's also a community. Ali's, as you said, leading the Indigenous Leadership Program. That's on the 27th.
Yep.
But they've also got a community referee course on the 26th of September as well. So yeah, there's a lot happening. It's such a coup for Townsville, which you were here in Adelaide earlier this year.
Yeah.
The appetite for basketball here in Adelaide. It's I think it's the same in, or even more in, Townsville.
Oh yeah, I mean you just have to look at the crowds at Townsville for their games, and I think it's a good thing to have it all for the first time, having all the teams playing over 3 days, and we get to see how are they going? I mean, I know that some of the rosters are not complete. Some imports are not here in Australia yet, so therefore they're not going to be playing. But I think it's going to be an interesting indication of the strength of the teams, seeing what happens over this first round bunch of competition. I'm kind of curious to hear what also from you, Em, what you think we could be looking at here.
I think it's just a great opportunity. Like you said, some of the international players aren't over here. So whether we see some young gun development players get that chance, we get to get a taste of the local talent before we get superstar imports. We see that every year. But see the Aussie girls shine and just see the competitiveness, get a taste, and just keep introducing it. Basketball is a sport that's just heavily on the rise, and especially women's basketball. So just giving everyone an appetizer before the main event to get everyone hooked.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think, to me, it seems like it's modelled off the NBL Blitz. I think having that all happen in one place at one time, and also give people, who may not necessarily get an opportunity to see a lot of basketball at one point in time. I think it's a great opportunity. I think it's good for the game as well. So it's all positive all the way around. Unfortunately, though, as far as we know at this point, it's an exclusively in-person event, which means no telecast at the moment. As far as I know, there's no streaming, but there will be game recaps and box scores available via the WNBL website and WNBL app. I'm sure there's going to be highlights as well available, probably on the WNBL YouTube channel, and I guess through the app as well. And I guess, the best thing to do is follow the NBL on social media and YouTube for results, highlights, any interviews and more. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I'd missed one thing. Sorry, I mentioned that the referee course. There's also a coaches clinic, which is awesome for the community up there. So Nat Hurst, Shannon Seabom, Paul Goris, and Claudia Brassard.
Claudia Brassard, yeah.
Thank you. Local Townsville legend. So they're also doing a coaching course. So I think in terms you said it was sort of modelled off the Blitz. I think so far the WNBL and She Hoops partnering up and getting that community connection, I think they've done a great job of that so far. I think they've really elevated that, which is great. And of course the government support from the Queensland regional Townsville Queensland government. Of course Susie Bakovic is she?
She's
What's her title? Councillor. Like she was heavily involved in this deal as well. So that's obviously been a great focus. I didn't want to miss that bit out. I thought that was really great.
Good. And let's be honest, when Susie gets the bit between her teeth, that's it. It's going to happen.
But yes, so obviously great stuff already starting off the court. And again, that partnership with She Hoops has really elevated that, I think, as well. So that's really smart by the WNBL. But so excited to see these players, like you've just touched on, get our first little taste. Yeah. In preparation for the pod, I got even more excited. The level of players coming back from college.
Yep.
Wow. And spread across the teams. And like you said, without the imports here, I think that's going to give those players more, like we're going to see a bit more of them in this preseason tournament as well.
Yep.
And I think it can't be lost, and it's really important. This year is the first year, I believe, those COVID kids, so they've had 5 years of college.
Yes.
So they're coming through with that extra year of experience. And some of the numbers and things that I was looking at, so impressive. And I'm sure we'll get into more individual talk as we go into the teams. But that was probably one thing. I mean, there's been some amazing recruiting. Yep. But in terms of this preseason tournament and that, not looking at those first few players, and sort of getting a bit more a look at a whole team, I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. Em, your thoughts?
Yeah, same as Kerry. Like reading the rosters, there's a lot of, if you just look at face value, a lot of evenness across the league. Like it looks like the talent's spread out, deep benches, young rosters, like even with the recruiting of this year, like looking for the pieces that are going to fit around their identity as opposed to just best person available. It just looks like a spread out league that's going to be interesting seeing, with how many guards is what I noticed, how many big guards we're getting, seeing that length versus the speed this year. I just think is going to be super exciting.
It's interesting because I think also there's been more opportunity for movement in rosters, because so many players that we've gotten used to as the names that are always around are going to Europe.
Yeah.
And New Zealand.
Yes.
And New Zealand. We'll touch on Tauihi later on, because
I thought we might.
Absolutely. Especially since I think it's this Friday they tip off.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to touch on Tauihi a little later on. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the teams. Now, yes, I'm in Sydney, so that means the expectation is I should start with the Flames, but I'm not going to. I'm going to throw the expectation out of the window. I'm going to start off by talking about Canberra, and the reason I want to talk about
did not see that coming.
The reason I want to talk about Canberra is that I think they've done some really interesting recruiting. Picking up Brent Catasano from Sydney, and someone who, look, the reality is she dropped daggers into Canberra last year, and she was just like on fire. And so I think it'll be good for her to be in that team. Somebody else that really had me interested is, and I mean, we're always interested in Jade Melbourne because she just is such an amazing player. But I think this year the number of minutes that she's gotten in the WNBA playing for the Mystics is going to ratchet her game up further than what it already has, because she wasn't getting as many minutes in Seattle as she has been getting at the Mystics, and that additional experience. I think she started a few times as well.
Yep.
And there was some games I think she was into. I think from memory, and I'm trusting my memory, which is not necessarily the smartest thing to do at this time of night. She dropped either 11 or 15 against the Aces during this season. So I've just got this feeling that we're going to see a whole different Jade Melbourne in comparison to what we've seen. And that, what we've seen to date is a great player, and I think that extra experience is going to help. I'm curious to hear what you guys are going to say about that.
Yeah, basketball is a huge confidence game, right?
Yeah.
So, she's playing she's averaging 23.4 minutes a game in her second season in the WNBA.
Yep.
That's, and she's still young. She's still a young player. So, I'm just taking a really simplistic view of that basketball is a confidence game. And if you're coming in with that confidence off of a WNBA season, she's 100% going to take it to the next level. And I think they've got the right pieces around her as well to make that happen.
Yeah. I think also the fact that there's been an interesting amount of people coming in, and I think one of the most interesting combinations coming in is Zatina Akuso and Sarah Blickers, particularly after Asia Cup. All right, that was just like, wow, that's a serious combination there, and we've kind of already got a feeling of what they can do. Props to Coach Goris for getting those two into Canberra. Yeah, I think that's a combination that other coaches are going to have to seriously worry about.
Yeah, I agree. And just quickly touching on Jade Melbourne, she was in a very veteran team in Seattle, and she got traded to Washington with Sydney Johnson, who's a player development coach. She's with a young core with a couple of vets, and you can see with Paul Goris's new roster, it's kind of the same build. She's got people on the same age and trajectory as well in Nadia Poch, Monique Babongi. Like, she's got those young guns with her, but now with Akuso and Blixfus to just hold it down with her. So she's learned to be a bit more composed, but she can still go wild and land on the baseline after her layups. And like Sarah and Zatina would pick her back up and tap her on the back, say it's all good, and go get the rebound for her.
Yeah, and there's that continuity. Like Nicole Munger's still there, and they've got an interesting import coming in, Kadi Sissoko, who Coach Goris got to see firsthand in the WNBA when he was coaching over there. So obviously he sees that she's going to be a really interesting piece for the front court. Her height's going to help them a lot, which is he said in an article that was one of the areas where they probably weren't as strong as they could have been last season. So, seriously, I think the recruiting off season has been again really interesting and got some amazing players in there. Plus, there's that continuity of a core, which means, there's going to be stability and that chemistry. There's chemistry already there. So now it's just like the new players, if they, and I'm sure that Gori's picked his players to be able to fit in with that chemistry. They're going to be, I think, a real threat this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. On the roster tracker, and I'm not sure how this works because they've had a lot more ins than they've had outs. The only out listed was Ella Toffiano, who's come to Adelaide. So you're absolutely right. But again, I'm not sure how that quite works because you've got six.
It's easy.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ins and one out.
Well, that's okay. But they've just added an extra couple of bench chairs to the benches there, so that they can fit everybody on. No problem.
Yeah, sorry, officially and officially, because I think she was there unofficially last season, but of course, officially having Nat Hurst back at the Caps as the assistant coach to Gori, like what an amazing combination. And I think that's reflected, and Em, you touched on it at the beginning around the recruiting, not just for their ability on the court, but high character. Like we're hearing a lot about high character, high caliber players, and I think that's reflected in this Caps team.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing the Caps, and I'm really curious to see how they go this weekend. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be keeping a very close eye on how they perform, and more importantly, what sort of combinations Paul Goris and Natty Hurst are going to be putting together. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of experimentation this weekend. Should be really interesting.
Yeah, I think they'll take advantage of the not, even though we would obviously like to see every game, I think they might take advantage of that as well. The fact that not everyone's watching everything that they're doing.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we got Canberra done. Who wants to go next? Okay, Em?
Yeah, I'll talk about Geelong next.
Okay.
They're a team I'm super excited for. Like I mentioned, they're super guard heavy. Like just going down the roster, you've got Jazz Shelley returning. Alyssa Brett, I think, is a great pickup that they've managed to keep. Shyla Heel coming over. And then their two imports, I am super excited to see Alyssa Pilley and Mackenzie Holmes in the WNBA. They're versatile forwards who can knock down the shot. This is a team that can beat you at the three, but also just take you to the rack. They've got speed, they've got agility, and quite high IQ players that they might not be the tallest team, but they can outspeed you and outthink you. And I just think that the way that this roster's been built, it's made for run and gun. They're going to get you off the line. They're going to get to the free throw line, knock down those threes. But I think the defense is going to be so important for them this year. Even just Shyla Heel and Jazz Shelley as your 1-2 punch. Your guards aren't getting it over halfway. Like they're dogging you. They are in there, hands everywhere. And just another two young guns who are there with Alex Sharp is my favourite pickup for them. Just holding it down, might get a casual double-double for you and you won't even realise because you're so focused on those stars.
Yeah.
How far out is Shyla Hill? She's obviously been coming back from that knee injury, is it?
Yeah, she sprained or strained her meniscus or her MCL.
I just saw her rocking a brace recently on the socials, and she does the socials so well. Yes. But I was like, oh, that does look good.
Yeah, I know she's been posting a lot of workout and getting back to it videos, but even say they don't have her for the first month, you can slot in Alyssa Brett, Gemma Potter, proven sharpshooter, and just a solid defender. I just think they've got a balanced team this year with very likeness players like Lily Rotunno, who we've seen a glimpse of at the Flames in their development program. She's also up and in. So having a consistency in their roster this year, which I think sometimes they struggled with last year.
Yeah, and look, let's not forget, I mean, this is only year 2 for this team. So there's still a lot of kind of feeling around that's going on. I think probably one of the biggest impacts to them is losing Keely Froling.
Yeah. And I think just they lost Keely Froling, huge loss. She's been in the Opals, outstanding rebounder. She's going to get on the glass. She's going to give it her all. But Alyssa Pilley, who she is currently with LA, she played for Minnesota. When she was in college, she averaged 17 points, 6 rebounds and 2 assists, and she's 6'2". That's just someone who's going to get it done for you. She's a solid player. Defensively, offensively, that is just kind of the perfect piece to slide in. Maybe not with the experience because she's so young, but what a pickup from them.
Yeah, I was super excited to see her on that roster as well. And then you've also got Mackenzie Holmes at 6'3", again drafted in the WNBA to the Seattle Storm last year. And again, both players coming off of, even though they are young, again, 5 years of college. So they're not as young as they used to be coming out of college. So I think they come with that experience. And you said about Alyssa Pilley's stats. Mackenzie Holmes was averaging 22.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks per game as a senior. So again, coming in with some real good experience and higher level competition in that NCAA top bracket.
Yeah, and I think with Mackenzie as well, she averaged 65% from the field in her whole college career, which is just huge. The only thing with Mackenzie is she's coming back from an ACL tear. So she was drafted by the Seattle Storm in 2024. Last year was one of their rookies. Had the season off last year with the torn knee. She's come in this year, played bits and pieces, but we haven't been able to see if she's that same player as Indiana. But we've seen it time and time again where the WNBL just gives confidence to those young Americans coming through, and we see them come back sometimes, which is amazing. But even just to boost her and see, can she be another double-double queen of the WNBL?
I think this is a team that could be a bit of a dark horse. It's just I think the biggest thing for them, and look, this is true for all teams. It's going to be about how the team gets together, their chemistry, how they fit together. But it's going to be again. It'll be interesting to see how they perform in this first weekend, and see how the pieces are starting to fall into place. But they will be without their imports.
I think a positive of them being without their imports is, unfortunately, because I go for Seattle Storm, they have been knocked out. So Mackenzie will be rested, and they shouldn't be as tired as some imports who are a little bit more successful in their postseason runs.
Okay. Only because we've just been talking about this whole potential for run and gun, I want to talk about Perth.
Love.
Okay. Let's be honest. This is a team that has been known for doing a lot of running. They're fast up and down the court. We certainly saw it last season. You know, they're trying to get down the court in, what is it? I think it's 6 or 7 seconds. Coach Petrick wants them down there and doing the business. This would be a really interesting matchup to see, Geelong and Perth, just because of the style that they're going to play. But I think there's been some really interesting moves in Perth. First up, I think, you know, there's no question that Mila Soa was one of the standout players, who's now heading to Townsville, and Teague Morrell is going to Canberra, but they picked up Tegan Graham, and one of our previous podcasts, Nat Burton, has said, you know, this is a player that you want to watch. He had a great college career at both Colgate and Brigham Young, suited up for the Tall Ferns in the Trans-Tasman Throwdown, and, you know, performed well. I think while they've lost some pieces, Tegan's a really good pickup. And I think one of their other key pickups is Maya Morris, who was with the Flames, who was averaging 7.75 a game at 34.6 across the 20 games last season, 5.6 rebounds and 1.5 blocks, which means she's contributing both ends. And it's solid. And so I think, you know, what we're going to see from her was going to be really interesting. Kerry, what do you think?
Yeah, Tegan Graham was one that I sort of had earmarked as a great pickup. I think Mia Soa is a huge loss. So there'll be big shoes to fill for Tegan Graham. But yeah, those 2 seasons in Europe, she won a championship with the club in Sweden, and then she was MVP during her time in Germany. So bringing that European experience across, and I think that suits that suits the Perth style of play with Coach Ryan Petrick. I always like Perth. They obviously, I'm an Adelaide girl. There's a bit of a rivalry there. They have some good matchups. So, great to see Alex Shibachoni. She came back from having, another baby. I don't think we talk about the mamas enough. We touched on Lauren Nicholson before. With you at Sutherland, wow. So Alex Shibachoni's another one who's come back from having kids and, had a great WNBL season last season, has been awesome in the NBL 1, and I think will be raring to go this season. And again, another team Ali Wilson, obviously, always a stalwart of the WNBL, and paired up with Annalee Maley. And again, they've had that 3-on-3 experience, which I think we don't give enough credit to. I think that brings a whole different level to their game. So yeah, interested to hear your thoughts as well on the links, Em.
Yeah, I think it's really good that you mentioned the 3-on-3, because 3-on-3 is a hard league to play in. But if you pick one team that could play 3-on-3 the best, you pick the Perth Lynx, just because that 7-second shot clock offense. I have Amy Atwell circled. We saw her in and out last year. We know how good she is. Can she get back to what it was? She's got that connection with Ali Wilson, who's always just stellar. But I'm really interested in Yamaya Morris. We've seen the success that Perth has had with true centres before. We've seen Lauren Scherf. We've seen Gemma Potter. The only difference is they can shoot threes. And we just haven't seen if Yamaya Morris... She could be the greatest three-point shooter. I only watched her last year. Yep. Unfortunately, I did not see her knock down a three. But maybe that's something she's worked on in the off-season, because I think a key part of the Perth Lynx is their spaced out offense. We saw it last year with Letitia and me here playing their centre a lot. She's a very mobile big who was able to stretch them out just with her ability to get downhill. It's going to be interesting to see how often do they go small ball, or do they try for a more 4-out 1-in offense, where if they don't get that original 7-second shot, do we see them go into more sets this year just with the personnel that they've managed to get?
They are really interesting in terms of their in terms of the way they've put the team together. And look, the thing with Ryan Petrick is you can never underestimate what he's thinking. This is a guy who's and I mean, he's been with the team for a long time. Even before he was, assistant to Andy Stewart. So he's been there for a long time, and he's learnt. Like, the team's always there, so he's constantly got the right mix. He's just constantly tweaking his players to get to that point where he's like, yeah, this is the team that's going to get us to go all the way. I just think that Maya Morris has the potential to bring that sort of a little bit of stability like she did with the Flames last season. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Has she been practicing for the 3-point shot? It also depends on what Ryan Petrick wants her to do. Is he going to try and get her to play inside more? It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And also, I got to say, I made a mistake. It wasn't Nat Burton; it was Nat Hurst. I think we got some interesting things happening in Perth, and without a doubt, having Ali Wilson and Annalee Maley there, who are a really solid core for the team, helps anchor them. And yeah, they're always tough because it's a fast-moving team, and it always puts pressure on other clubs, particularly if they've got to make that trip to Perth. Daylight saving kicks in, so that means it can be really tough for East Coast teams and Victorian teams because of the time differential. Not so tough for Adelaide because, you're a lot closer.
It's still far enough.
It's still far enough.
It's still far enough.
I think up the Perth stats from last year.
Yeah.
And they attempted 31.5 3-points shots a game.
Wow.
So it's interesting looking at this roster. Mila Soa contributed 5.6 attempts. So that's a big loss in just what they want to run.
Yeah.
And Letitia Omihi averaged 1. So there's about 6.5 3-pointers that they're losing this season. So it's going to be interesting to see whether it's a little bit of a shift into less reliance on the 3-point shot. They only shot, I think it was 28% last season. I think that's a bit harsh considering the incredible runs you'd see.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they just stick Maya Morris in the paint, go rebound, kick out, rebound again until we get this in.
Yeah, could be.
I feel like there's going to be some players there that are going to quickly snap up those 6 extra threes. I don't think that's going to be a problem. They're going to be like, yes, that's more shots for me.
My turn, guys. Watch this.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Adelaide. Look, let me preface this by saying there's been a lot of change in Adelaide. For a while there, we were nervous as to whether there was going to be in Adelaide. Thankfully, the team's there. And so, Kerry, because we know you're really well connected down there, fill us in on all the gossip about the Lightning.
Well, it's not really gossip because obviously I wouldn't tell you anything I'm not supposed to because then they won't tell me anything anymore. But I'm very lucky to have played with Karen Mitchell, who was appointed as the head coach of the Lightning. She was, for a little while there, their only employee. So she sort of had hit the ground running. And so she's very happy to have some teammates to play with now. She's obviously, they've just, I think they've officially announced their coaching staff today with Cherie Cordova, who is known as Hoggy, who was a former teammate of her back in the day at the Caps. Marina Wood, Marina Moffa, as she was known back in her playing days, has been announced as the team manager, but as you can imagine, she's going to be much more than a team manager. And I believe that Georgia Crouch is coming back as an assistant. She's coming back from, I guess, maternity leave. She's got a little baby, and I believe she'll be part of the coaching staff as well. So that's really great to see that come together. And again, we touched before on high caliber people and players. I think Karen's done a really great job of not only getting some really great players with a lot of potential, but she's even mentioned herself. She obviously recruited them for their character, but seeing it all come together just in the last few weeks on court, she's so happy with what she's seeing. And I think they've all got a little bit of grit about them, which sort of is interesting. Like if you ever had the pleasure of seeing Karen play back in the day, you can sort of see the team and the way she's put that together. And they've also some great local pieces. So Steph Talbot, that was the first. Unfortunately, Isabel Borlase was pretty much already out the door when she was given the job. So Izzy's obviously gone to Bendigo, which is a huge loss, but be able to retain Steph Talbot was a big win, and I think was a great place to start. Taylor Brazel coming back from an ACL, she unfortunately twigged an meniscus, so she's sort of been rehabbing, but hoping to have her back because she's a real she's obviously a local talent, but someone that I think everyone's really excited to see her potential, and she's sort of a bit of a leader in that space as well. Jazz Fijo comes back into the Lightning for the third time. So I think she's got a lot to prove. She's coming off an amazing NBL 1 Central season, winning a championship with Woodville. And she's got that, we haven't touched on it yet, but that football connection. I think that's another thing with this WNBL season. We've got a few players have been playing a bit of AFL or AFLW, SNFLW, and that sort of brings a bit of grit to them as well. With Karen being the assistant coach for the New Zealand Tall Ferns recently with Nat Hurst, she's obviously used a few of those relationships and those connections. So we've got Tofiano coming across from Canberra, but she was with the Tall Ferns for the Trans-Tasman Series and the Asia Cup. One of the players that I am most excited about is actually Shan Rabadi. She, so this is her WNBL debut, but again has had that experience with the Tall Ferns. She's had a great season in the NBL 1 South with Casey. And so there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. There's a lot, I think the game day experience, everything. There's so much potential for basketball here in Adelaide, and we got to touch on that with the Trans-Tasman Series when there was a bit of a question mark over this team. So I think the newness of it's a new club in a new WNBL with these amazing players that they've been able to bring together, an amazing staff. There's a lot of excitement here in Adelaide for sure.
Cool. Can't wait to see them take to the court. I think, as you said, new team, so there's going to be a lot of incentive to really make a mark and build on the legacy of the Adelaide Lightning. Okay.
Yeah, they're concentrating a lot on that reconnecting with the community, which has been great to see as well, and making sure that they're keeping those connections with some of the signings of not only the players but the coaching staff.
Okay, good. I think it's going to be exciting, and also I got to say, from our time in Adelaide, you can see the buzz around the Lightning, so it'll be good to see, and hopefully, you'll get the fans in Adelaide turning out and filling the room.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is the shift to the State Basketball Centre in Wayville. Yeah. So it's more central. And also, I've touched on a couple of times, we've got the advantage, I guess, of the 36ers have sold out the last, I don't know how many games, and they're saying that they don't have a lot of tickets for sale. So it's going to be like, okay, well, can't go to the Sixers, but come and watch the Adelaide Lightning, and I think they're going to put on a really good show.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's keep rolling along because we've still got a few teams to get through. And let's talk about Southside.
Southside.
Yes. Yeah, interesting. It's been an interesting kind of off-season for Southside. Some of the players that went out and also players who've come in who've kind of really changed things up.
Yeah, I think, like as you said, two huge names that have gone. Bet Cole, veteran icon in the WNBL. She seems like she can't stop, won't stop. And then I think Dallas Luffridge is a huge loss, like huge pickup for Adelaide. But she is just someone who proves she's there for the big time. But I think it's just so interesting that they've seemed to go in a young direction with Kayla George, who just seems ageless. So they've got
she says it's because of the Pilates.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously, and I think we'll see that this year. But just seeing the direction that they've gone, they've kept Maddie Rocci, but bringing in Izzy Bourne has to be one of the biggest off-season moves. She's been a rising star for a couple of years and just an absolute scorer to go with the three-point shooting of Maddie Rocci, Kayla George, Carly Ernst. She's got players that are going to attract attention and spread them out, where, unfortunately for Adelaide last year, not really their year, where you could kind of just double down on Izzy Ball Ace. But with the roster that they're building, you can't leave any of those three players open. Like even Manny Potch, we've seen what a young and future star she's going to be too. They can't just go heavy on Izzy Ball and crash because they're going to kill you from the outside.
And let's not forget, I mean, there is another piece of the puzzle down there, and that's Christy Harrower as the head coach. A lot of experience and somebody who really pushes their teams.
Yeah, and I think Izzy Bourne, she's so young, she's so athletic, she's so fast. She's with a lot of calmer players, a bit of a calming presence, where with Christy Harrower, I feel like we're going to see not improvement in the game, but a bit of an evolution where she might just become a little bit more composed and we see a bit more 2-foot stops and kick-outs from her, where she's going to have the luxury of a star-studded roster with her this year.
Yeah, they've been together at Keilor Thunder the last couple of seasons. And there's a few interesting Adelaide connections here as well. So she's brought in Matthew Clark as her assistant. And of course, so we've touched on Izzy Bourne coming across from Adelaide. Hayley Andrews has come from Adelaide as well. So yeah, there was a few swapsies between the Flyers and the Lightning this season.
I think, I think people were disappointed with Southside's performance last season, and I'm pretty sure they're going to want to make a mark this season and re-establish themselves as a leading team. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to perform going forward. And again, this weekend, how they play. Okay, now Sydney's had a lot of changes, but that being said, we were lucky enough to have an opportunity to have a talk to Coach Guy Malloy at the Flames Kings launch last week. And one of the things he's really mentioned is he's really, really focused on the chemistry of the team, the connection of the players. He's trying to build a culture where everybody is kind of going to work together. And I think that's part of an outgrowth of the challenges the team faced last year, because the injuries, the players really banded together. They showed that resilience that you need. And, a lot of young players got serious minutes last season. Bonnie Dees is a great example of that. And they really stepped up. But, you've got players like Isabel Morgan, who's come across from Davidson College. I am going to make a quick shout out to James Jansen if he's up at some really horrible time of the morning and listening. They've also got players coming in like Ruby Perkins and Zoe Miller. Ruby's going to be going she's committed to UC Berkeley, but she's going to get some experience here. Maddie Norris, who's coming into the WNBL after her NBL 1 performance this season. It shows that the NBL 1 is also a great pathway for players to be able to get into the WNBL, regardless of, how many years you think that they would have been in earlier. Didn't happen. NBL 1, it's showed and underlined this is a person that you need to get in, and it's happened. But you've also got core stability with the Flames. Loz Nicholson, as we said, she's back after having baby Ari. And showing how match fit she was when playing in the NBL 1 for Sutherland. Lara McSpadden's back after a season in Tauihi with the Phi and winning last year's competition. Kelly Froling, and of course, one of the anchors for the team, the Swain train, Shanice Swain, who really was a standout last season. And I think a couple of the pickups that I'm really impressed with is, first of all, Unique Thompson, who really has made a name for herself in the NBL 1. Firstly, when she was at the Albury Bandits, where she was sort of, punching in 29.67 a game, and 15 rebounds, and then also for Mackay, she was doing 23.3 and 14, let's call it 15 in round numbers rebounds as well. So this is, this is a great pickup for the Flames. Obviously, both ends she can play, and I think there's a really interesting combination being put together by Coach Guy Malloy. And if he can get that chemistry working between the players, I think they're going to be tough. And then add into the mix Agnes Eminopu, who was in at the Raiders, and we had a chance to see her at the NBL 1 Nationals. And she's yet another great player. So I think we've got a really good opportunity here in terms of performance by the team. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And, obviously, again, I'd love to hear your opinions on that.
Yeah, I think what we see just looking at the roster is a team that does the one percenters. Like, just a team that's going to go out and get it done. Like, Lauren Nicholson, Maddie Norris, I had the privilege of working with this year, and they were the two that are just going to go and get it done. And you see that with Carla Pittman, who also an NBL 1 East player this year. It's nice to see so many NBL 1 East players in this team, actually. But these are the players that just go out, they'll dive on the ground, they'll make the right extra pass, they're going to be there to defend, they're going to be in the right spots, they're going to communicate. And then one of their main imports, Grace Berger, she's a 6-foot guard out of Indiana. She's just composed and there. She's just ready, whether she has been sitting the whole game or playing all 40 minutes. She's going to be there with the team through and through, making those rebounds, finding Keely Froling in the right spot. They're just a team that's going to go out and get it done this year, I feel.
Yeah, and I think, Grace is not in town yet, so we're not going to get to see her this weekend. So we'll have to wait for a little bit longer. But I think, like you said, she's another great pickup for the team. Kerry?
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a very Guy Molloy sort of team. The way that you've explained it, it sounds spot on. So I think this is something really interesting, and I should have asked you before, Paul. The WNBL team lists. Where do you find the coaches? I don't think we talk about these coaches enough. Like, I think, you can tell I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about it. I'm like, yeah, that's the head coach, but these are the assistant coaches. These are the other, the teams behind the team. So that's, I think I must have a bit of an agenda without really knowing it. I've just noticed that every time I'm like, yeah, this coach and this coach.
Okay, I'll tell you what. During the season, let's do a pod about the coaching staff.
I think it's really cool. Without going off track, because we've got to talk about the Townsville Tip-Off. But we've got some amazing coaches and assistant coaches with amazing experience in this league.
Sure.
And for them to be coming back through, I do think it's worth a pod for sure.
Okay. All right, we will make a point of doing that one. All right. Yes, we still have a couple more teams to get through, so let's get into Bendigo. What can you say about Bendigo?
I think the biggest miss is Sammy Whitcomb is going and getting paid overseas. So, but they've gotten some young guns. They've gotten people to go with Kelsey Griffin and Mariana Tolo and just have an impact with them, which I think will be super exciting.
Who do you see as being the ones that we really need to be watching? And before we get into that, one of the players that I want to talk about just really quickly on Bendigo is Casey Samuels. And the reason I want to talk about Casey is I remember when she was playing at the Flames a while back. Okay, I'm not going to date myself. Right.
Bendigo, Bankstown Bruins.
Yeah. Right. But last season she really stepped up and she really put in some amazing performances. And I think one of the things that's interesting about Bendigo is there's young players coming in who are going to be able to learn from the vets, Kelsey Griffin, Mariana Tolo. And I think on top of that, they're going to be able to bring some of their own approach to the game, which is going to make Bendigo a little bit harder to deal with, though they've got a big hole to fill in terms of Sammy.
Yeah, I thought it was a really great choice for Isabel Borlase to go to Bendigo because of those reasons. Though obviously Kennedy Kariyama is an amazing coach, but those players and the year to learn from those players and be around that caliber and those veterans, and I think she's obviously a player to watch. She doesn't quite fill the role of Sammy Whitcomb, but I think she's going to be really well supported there, and we're going to see her have a massive growth year in her preparation for the WNBA.
I just want to say a quick sorry to Izzy Bourne. I kept calling her Izzy Wallace when I was talking about Southside, so quick apologies to her. But yeah, I totally agree with Casey Samuels. She's who I had circled. She's just a player I love watching. Like, she's just there. Wherever you need her, she's there. You're going to find her. She's going to make the shot. She's going to make the defensive stop. The other player I'm really interested in is Abby Werong. We've seen her in that 6-man role. We've seen her as a 3-and-D. But is she going to come in and I would like to see her make a bit more of an impact. Let's see a little bit more of an offensive punch from her, because I think she's such a star. She's got all of the makings. She's got a great build. I'd love to see her lead a bit more this season without Sammy there. And Veronica Burton, who just got most improved in the WNBA.
Yeah, shout out to Abby. She's been hooking me up with the Monat hair products lately. So I have a new friend in Bendigo, but also she's just been on an amazing overseas holiday as well. So obviously I think, you know, it was reported that she's had a lot going on in her personal life.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that her being able to take that break and have that holiday, take some time for herself, we might see a more refreshed, focused player. And like you said, she's got the potential. So I think when you put those two together, there's definitely potential to see a lot more from her this season.
Yeah, and let's not forget the shameless plug for the hair products.
I haven't even had a chance to tell her yet. They're already doing the job. So
okay, great.
They're already working. So if anyone else needs any help with their hair, Abby's your girl.
All right, Townsville. They've had some interesting additions to the roster. Mila Soa obviously is a big one. Piper Anderson, another one that's you kind of look at and go, okay, that's going to be an interesting mix, because let's face it, they got a great coach. Shannon is a fantastic coach that they've got up there. He's been there for a while, very well respected by his players. So, you know, you look at the roster that they've got there for this upcoming season. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how they play out, and I'm kind of curious to hear what your opinions on this team.
I think just Mila Soa is just a huge pickup for them. Just Lauren Mansfield not picked up again this season. They've gone and got a fast and up and coming guard to go alongside Saffron Shields, who I know Saffron. She's a gorgeous human and has always just had that affinity for basketball. She's always just had that love for it. And I think we saw her blossom a little bit last year. She's super young, but being able to be with other scorers around her, Abby Ellis, another gun that's come through. Like, again, we've got another strong 3 guards with Lucy Olsen coming over from the Washington Mystics. She was the second leading scorer in the NCAA in Caitlin Clark's last season, where they've got scorers everywhere and Saffron will find them. They've got Courtney Woods, who just time and time again proves her stability in this league. And then retaining Lauren Cox, I think, is huge. She's fabulous. She was the number 2 or 3 pick. I think she was the 3rd pick. She was after Sabrina Ionescu and Satu Sabali in that year of the WNBA draft. So she knows what she's doing. She's got the IQ, and she's going to get some boards and some points for the team.
Yeah, I think it was huge to get her back. It obviously shows obviously Townsville is amazing, but also Shannon Seaborn as a coach, and she obviously loves it up there. The 3-on-3 connection again. So Lucy Olsen, obviously amazing 5-on-5 college player, but also won a gold at the under-23s for the USA 3-on-3 competition. So, you know, along with Soa and again, that's it definitely brings a different level to their game, and Shannon Seaborn obviously likes that as well. And again, the confidence piece around Mila Soa, who's had an amazing year, obviously debuting with the Opals, that Kangaroos debut also, and Alex Fowler. Wow.
Love.
Yeah.
Like, just continue. I hope to see her just continue riding that wave of confidence and developing her game. But yeah, again, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's under the guidance and the tutelage of Coach Shannon Seabom. When we were doing when I was doing the research for the Trans Tasman series, actually, and the number of Opals squad and even Tall Ferns actually that had come through Townsville.
Yeah.
I should have actually kept some stats because that was high. There was a high number that had been associated with him as a coach.
And just touching on Shannon really quickly, he is originally from Newcastle in New South Wales. So he coached Saffron Shields as a junior. Piper Anderson would have had him in state pathways going through. I know I had him and I'm a year younger than Piper. So even just that connection of he's been around, people know him and love him. And just, if you just look at Alex Fowler, the prime example, she has been a sixth woman, goes to the Asia Cup, MVP. And especially in the position she plays in a small forward, which I believe is one of the hardest positions to play in and get noticed because you have the amazing forwards, you have the flashy guards. Alex Fowler was just stable, steady, and did everything at a high level.
Yeah. I mean, I got to know Shannon when he was coaching here in Sydney, and he really is just an amazing coach, and he really extracts the best from his players. And the fact that so many players are willing to, leave where they are, go to Townsville, says a lot about him as a coach. It also says a lot about the organisation up there as well. They've got a really tight connection with the community, and they really, you see players stay there for a long time. So I think there's a lot to be said for that whole environment that the team builds up there. Unfortunately, we are kind of getting to the end of our time. We've gone a little bit long, but that's okay. I just want to really quickly touch on the Tauihi League. There are so many Australians who have gone over there this season. I think it's going to be a spectacular season over there. Going to be a lot of good games to watch. I believe we're still going to be able to see them on YouTube. It's a really fascinating league. I think there are some teams there that are going to be really, really tough given some of the players that they've got. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how the season develops over there. It tips off this Friday, and can't wait. I mean, I know we've been following it here on Shooting the Breeze since before it started, and it's always been an entertaining league to watch, and it's been really interesting to see how it's improved over, season to season, like from the very first season to where it is now. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. And I think that the Australians, the girls that have decided to go over, I lost count. So I'm sorry, I don't have a full number. I was like, I can't, there's too many. But like Beck Cole, Lauren Mansfield, the caliber of players going over there, but I also think they're really excited to go and enjoy the culture, and just something a little bit different as well. Charlotte Whittaker is a Kiwi, but she's chosen to go back home to Christchurch. Yeah, there's some phenomenal players, and also we've seen the benefits of the Tauihi League. Getting Sian Rabadi across, Ashley Strawbridge. I'm sure there's there's so many that it was hard to make a list, but yeah, really excited. And of course we've got our good friends and friends of the pod over there covering it and on commentary as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that that's also important when looking at Tauihi is it's a short season, which means players get time off to rest. It's, it's not like NBL to NBL 1. It's, we finish we can come home, have Christmas with the family, and we've got a few months where we can kind of unwind before the next NBL 1 season rolls up. So there's a lot to be said for those players who want to make the decision to step out of the WNBL for a season or two to go over to Tauihi and but still play, but get some time off. Okay, look, we have gone over time. I do want to say thank you to both of you for joining me on this live pod. Kerry, as always, it's great having you here on the show. It's always a lot of fun. It's great having you join us for the first time. It's been really, really fantastic, and really enjoyed listening to your insights on the game and the players and the teams out there. And before we go, we have to give a shout out to a previous pod guest, Tom Garlop, who's in Malaysia with the Sapphires, one of the sparkly
Thank you,
ones.
Tom. Thank you. Sorry.
Who are undefeated in the Asia Cup and, going straight into the semis this Saturday. For anyone who's interested, all the action's on the FIBA YouTube channel. You got to watch it. It's going to be great to watch. And finally, to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. Townsville Tip-Off highlights can be seen on the WNBL app and YouTube, and can't wait for the WNBL season to start. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Paul.
Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you get our latest pod, and we really appreciate if we could get a like and a review so we can extend the reach to more listeners. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn.